Come in this morning, clothes ain't fitting you right. Okay, so like I said, we're going to start practicing changing chords using songs. And the first song that we're going to use is the song CorInna, or CorInna. It's an old popular folk song. I first heard it played by Mississippi John Hurt, the country blues guitarist, one of my favorite musicians. And this version that I'm going to play is heavily inspired by his particular version of it. It's a pretty simple song structurally. It's basically one melodic unit that repeats throughout the song. And what I'm going to do is go over the chord progression in this particular video, and then you'll be practicing that chord progression in other exercises. We'll first start practicing just getting the chord progression down, and then start practicing playing it and singing it at the same time. So as I said in the first video on chords, you can play a lot of music with just 3 chords, and this particular song we're going to be learning it in the key of C, and that means that our 3 most common chords in that key are C, C major, F major, and G major. C major, F major, G major, the ones you've been practicing. So in thinking about this particular song, and a lot of the others that I'll be teaching, we'll be thinking of them in 2-beat units, and you can kind of think of the fundamental rhythm to help kind of organize these songs or this structure as boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck. So 2 boom chucks is 1 bar of music, or 1 measure of music. So when you see a chord progression that I write out, and you see 1 letter to indicate a chord, so if we see a letter C, that means that that chord is to be held for 2 or for a 2 count. So 2 boom chucks, which is 1 measure. If you see 2 C's, then that means 4 boom chucks, and so on. So that's how to read the chord progression. If you also see a letter with a bar and then another letter, then that indicates that each of those is to be held for only 1 boom chuck. So each chord occupies half of a measure. So if you had a C and a vertical bar and then an F, means you do 1 beat of C, 1 beat of F for that particular measure. So that's how to read them. And now I'm going to go over the chord progression for CorInna. So I'll first sing it, and then I will review the chords. So as a refresher, this is a demonstration video in the course that you have access to as well. Here's the basic melody for the song CorInna. Again, it's in the key of C. That's a C major chord, so that helps your ear orient to where you should be singing it. I left CorInna way across the sea. Lord, I left CorInna way across the sea. She don't write me no letters, she don't care for me. Okay, so I was playing the chords behind it, so you could hear the chord changes. Okay, so now I'm going to put up the chord progression, and I'm going to play the chord progression and call it out as I go. And I'm going to use that boom chuck pattern I mentioned, so you can hear how that fits in with the music and how that fits in with the chord progression charts or diagrams that we'll be using. So here's CorInna again. We're going to be starting on a C major chord. Again, that's very common. Whatever key a particular song is in, it will oftentimes or usually start on the root chord, which in the key of C is C major. And that's what we're fingering first. And this song starts with a pickup measure, I left CorInna, and then starts so that I left Cor is actually leading into the first full measure of the song. So we'd consider that a pickup verse and the actual first full measure starting with CorInna. And so when you see the chord on the chord diagram, that's occupying that first full measure. So I'll start it by singing, and then I'll call out the chords. I left CorInna, C, F, C, G, C. One more time. Left chord C, G. Now I'll sing it. Left CorInna, way across the sea. Lord left CorInna way across the sea. She don't write me no letters, she don't care for me. Oh CorInna, where you been so long? Oh CorInna, where you been so long? You'll notice there that that pickup measure, once you've started the song, that lead in, that the very last measure is actually where those notes are going. So you're actually leading the last measure going through this melody. The last notes are those pickup notes that then lead into the first measure. That's why they exist kind of on their own when you get first started, and then everything's encapsulated in the chord progression structure after that point. Okay, so now in the subsequent exercises, what you're going to be doing first is playing that chord progression as you hear that boom chuck rhythm in the background, along with the basic melody being played on the ukulele. And you'll start with a simple strumming pattern and get a little bit more complex. And again, with each of these, start slow as you need to make those chord changes cleanly and in time, and resist the temptation to go too fast, too quick. All right, I'll see you in the next video.